5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Mike Vonbeardingham here, Pepsi Max as always, and I would like to welcome to the screen the son of Odin himself, the Asgard's finest, fresh in from trouncing the living shit out of the ice giants. I give you Aaron. Is it Aaron Brooke Martin now or Aaron Martin? What's your official stage title these days? Being a married man and all.
Stage title. Let's go all out. Let's chuck the middle name in there.
Oh, have you got a middle name?
Yes, Brooke.
Oh, there we go. Why was I thinking? I thought for some reason I was thinking that you'd got a double-barreled name because you're married, and a name.
No.
Never mind, eh?
No, mate.
All this middle name malarkey. Think you're somebody famous, do you? Right, so who we got on this evening? We've got Del Boy, we have Mr. Transatlantic, we've got Mr. Lionel, Alex Wilson, and we've got Gordon Parrish, who I believe you may have met. He played on the Michael Bolton tune we did recently.
Michael Bolton, indeed.
Yes.
Very nice.
It was very well done, wasn't it? You did a good job.
That was beautiful. Very, very good indeed.
So, Gordon, one of the only other people I know in the world who is as big a fan of Michael Bolton as me, you, and Lauren are, is this man here. Mr. Aaron, we've toyed with going to see Michael Bolton on several occasions.
Yes, we have.
But unless we could both afford to sell kidneys, I don't think we could afford the seats.
No, although there's not many people know about my love for Michael Bolton.
Really?
Until now, perhaps. Well, maybe a select few.
Look, we're in the 2020s now, mate. You can be open about this kind of stuff. There's no reason to hide yourself away. Come out of that musical closet.
I'm translucent.
You're translucent.
I'm going to be that.
Yeah. Right. So, any questions for this very handsome young devil? Feel free to throw them forward. Beautiful guitar, Anthony says. One of my dream guitars. Really want an 80s one in black.
Ooh.
You've been How long have you been a How long have you been a Les Paul player for? It's been a fair while, isn't it?
Do you know what? It has, but it didn't start that way because first time I ever played one, I thought it was absolutely disgusting.
Really?
Because yeah, true. I always started with Ibanez's and incredibly thin-necked guitars. My first one was a Jackson JSX 94.
Wow.
Which has an incredibly low-profile neck. That was my first ever proper one. And then I got through some various other ones, and I played Ibanez RG 550s for years. But then I played a friend of mine's by the name of Christian. I think that his was either an 83 or an 85, and then I don't know what happened. It was just like, wow. So ever since, I bought the other one I've got 2005 in black, but this is my baby. This one's an 87. I don't know if you can see that. That's had some lead play.
Wow.
Yeah. So this one has been born to shred, not to sit in a cabinet.
That is as worn down. That is as worn down as a teenager's penis.
Yes, and twice as much Lynx Africa for freshening up. But yeah, so I've got this one, and I've got the other one here, but this pretty stock. You know, your Black Beauty images. This one's a 2005. So
that's very sexy.
But yeah, I love them. But I think I got into those because they kind of evolved me as a player more than anything else, because my style just kind of suits these rather than the Ibanez thin neck. One guitar I've never owned in my entire life, and I've owned a lot of guitars. I've never owned a Fender Strat, never owned a Fender.
I can't imagine it would survive you, personally. They're a delicate little bugger.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I absolutely love them. I genuinely, they're amazing. And those and tellies is just to play unbelievable. But obviously different styles, different years, etc. But it's really bizarre. I've just never owned one. I've had, I don't know, everything else: custom shop PRS, USA Jacksons, RR1s. The list goes on. I've owned everything almost high end out there, but for some reason it's just Les Paul's. It's just a Les Paul players thing.
So regarding your Les Paul playing thing, because we'll get to your kind of musical influences in a minute. I know you're a huge fan of Mr. Zakk Wylde, So,
Yeah.
question is, did your love for Zach come after you discovering the Les Paul, or was it you heard Zach, saw the guitar and thought, this is something that me and him could share?
To be honest, it was after.
Really?
Because, I first got into Les Paul playing through watching John Sykes.
Interesting.
Whitesnake stuff, because I know, and it was his. He's like custom shop man as well. I love his, like, silver hardware, silver parts, etc. It's amazing. So I was always a massive Sykes fan, but because I loved Ozzy anyway, that I was just like, the Les Paul thing just kind of took off, and a lot of his style with the crazy overbends and the massive wide vibratos. I think that's just more of a Les Paul thing myself. But then I got into Zach after that, because he was just Zach Wild, and he's outrageous, and the stuff he does is insane. So, but yeah, that kind of came from that really. So Zach wasn't really an early influence. It was more from getting into your Panteras and your heavier stuff. Then you find Black Label and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So kind of evolved from there really. But yeah, Les Paul stuff has 100% come from John Sykes.
Were you a Randy Rhoads fan as well?
Oh yeah. Definitely. I mean, love Randy. The guy's just genius. So, but he wasn't like as one of my initial favourite players or anything like that. I got into him and I loved him, and I think he was absolutely crazy. But for me at that time, it was just it was the Sykes thing more than anything else. And I discovered more players after that, which is quite strange, because a lot of people get into your Randy Rhoads, and then they find your Zach Wild, and it kind of evolves out of that. But yeah, mine was a bit different really. Yeah.
So where did, as a young Aaron, considering how tall you, like 8'9", so I imagine
8'7".
8'7". Don't exaggerate, dear boy. So when growing up, then, what was? Were you into music as a child? Did it influence you at all? Or was it something you sort of discovered later on? Because I noticed a lot of people they grow up in a musical household. But I know some people sort of get into music during their teenage years. The rebellion kicks in. They hate everyone. Discover that music that really speaks to them. That kind of thing. So what was it for you?
I was always into music. I mean, like anybody, but I think the wow moment that some call it, I was very much into wrestling, the WWF style.
Oh, what era? What was your era?
Oh, all of it, 80s onwards.
Oh, good boy.
Yeah. First, I heard this on a cassette walking home from school. So you used to get like the wrestlers theme intro things that used to play with this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A strange thing you listen to when you're like 14, 15. Yeah. And one of the tracks on there was a bonus track, and it was Metallica live playing Seek and Destroy. And there was a wrestler at the time called Sting in WCW who walked down the aisle to this. Yeah. And I was listening through all these wrestling theme tunes, and I heard this, and I was like, holy shit. And then obviously the song played, and I heard the solo and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, I don't know what this is going on right now, but I need to do this. This is absolutely insane. And that was the moment that I always remember and go back to when I was like, holy shit. And I listened to that song on that cassette until it burned out. It was insane. Absolutely loved it. But
so were you playing guitar at that point, or did you?
No.
So is that one of the things that sort of triggered you off?
Yeah, I think that I found out obviously what it was, what was going on, learned a little bit about the band, and I thought, well, maybe I'll give this a whirl. So started off on an acoustic nylon, as you do,
of course,
rather than just diving straight in with electric stuff, and started to find other songs that I could learn and play on an acoustic of that kind of sound. You're not going to start blasting out Kill 'Em All on acoustic guitar. So it was small riffs, small pieces, small technical parts. And kind of evolved from there, took lessons, etc., etc. So, but yeah, I started playing when I was about 17, I think, something like that.
Okay, so sort of quite sort of late on, really, for a guitarist in a way, isn't it? A lot of them take it on sort of in their early teens, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I started when I was about 17, and then I went on to get lessons. I got lessons from a chap called Tom Edwards. He's unfortunately not with us anymore, and I miss him dearly because he's amazing. He's a huge inspiration in my life.
That's a shame.
But he was the guitarist for Adam Ant when he unfortunately died. He was 41, I think. But I used to.
I remember him. Yes, I know who you mean.
If you know, Yeah, if you know Ipswich very well, I used to walk from where I lived at the time to virtually the other side of Ipswich. It used to take me over an hour to walk there, carrying your guitar on your back like you did when you were that age, because you're excited about it every Friday night. So I used to go. He was a session player. I used to go and get lessons from him, but he was a huge Vi fan and Nuno. Anything via Nuno. But he would just sit there and just like play all of this insane stuff. I was like, I don't even know what's going on right now, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
So he was an incredible teacher, but then so it kind of evolved from there, and then started getting in bands, started playing, different types of music, getting into different things, finding my own way, and then it kind of evolved from there, really.
So we just had our friend Gary, who extremely talented percussionist. He said, "Can you give context of the rock people you mentioned, please, for us non-rockers? Who the feck is Zakk Wylde?" Gary. Right.
Well, who is he?
Aaron, please explain the life story of Zakk Wylde in under a minute, if you may.
A guitarist, played Les Paul, was a young lad, got into playing with Ozzy Osbourne when I think he was about 19. He's been with him ever since, and also had a solo career of his own band called Black Label Society since the 90s. And he tears up Les Pauls for a living.
Excellent.
Well, now he's got his own brand. There you go.
He sort of looks like Aaron's older brother. So big beard, long hair, bikery chap. Hopefully we don't have to describe who Ozzy Osbourne is as well and go through the whole history of rock to lead up to who Gary actually knows. Ask Gary about anything about sort of continental African percussion, and he's your man.
Right, okay, yeah.
So he even wrote his own book. He's had it published and everything. So very clever chap.
Wow.
Right,
Awesome.
so your first band, then we're going to head on to. So how long had you been playing before you ventured into the realms of rehearsing, gigging, to probably know people like the rest of us? That's generally how we start.
Yep. Probably about a year and a half.
Oh, wow. So it's
like
fairly
that.
quick. So a year and a half's not that bad. Not that much, is it?
I say there wasn't that many songs. I think it was this riff. Hear that?
Yep, I heard that.
that was the first one. And a few other sort of songs, but yeah, that was one of the first ones. I think that might have been Enter Sandman and Fade to Black, like the first two full solos that I learnt all the way through.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
excellent.
I'm not sure. I don't think I could remember now, mind you.
So, what was your actual first band you joined that actually put you out in the gigging circuit? And what was
the first band I joined?
Because I know you from me and Aaron met when we were both. I joined a band called Remorse. Not Remorse. That's my old band. We're beginning with R. What were we called? I've forgotten now.
Rebirth.
I've been in Remorse, Recovered, Rebirth. Way too many. Oh, I have, haven't I? But yeah, this is how I met Aaron. So we played in a band called Rebirth together. So how many bands in was Rebirth for you?
2 or 3.
Yeah.
I think the first stuff I was kind of started doing and was doing live was just normal pub circuit stuff. So I think that was possibly in the Horse with Black Horse called Brew Crew. Remember them?
I remember Brew Crew, yes.
I think they've had various members over the years, but that was kind of the house band. So I just started kind of playing and gigging with those. I think, do you know what? I'm not sure if that came first or if Rebirth came first. I think it might have been Rebirth,
I think it may have been.
Because
I remember you doing the Brew Crew stuff slightly later.
Yeah. Because it must have been. I think Rebirth was my first one then. Yeah, I think I was around 20.
Yeah, because you even had short hair.
Playing guitar. Because
I saw you before we were actually in the band together. I saw you several years before, and you had all short hair, and you were absolutely pissed out your tree on stage. But you still managed to stand up, which was really, really impressive.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I'm probably a bit scared.
But so what were Rebirth? Because obviously I know what they were. What sort of kind of music were they?
So they were I'll probably describe them as a melodic thrash deathy kind of thing. I don't know. Does that sound about right?
I think so. Yeah, it had sort of different elements, didn't it? It had sort of some real thrash parts. The earlier stuff was a bit more, had sort of keyboards in, didn't it? And
keyboards, yeah.
But
then it kind of,
But I remember one of my favourite funny memories from being in that band is because you and the other guitarist used to write songs together, didn't you? Or you'd write some stuff, he'd write some stuff. But I remember you being able to one of Aaron's great traits of his playing is not only being a great lead player, but having one of the most solid rhythm picking fast speeds that I've ever seen, to the point where you can, I'm presuming it's coming from sort of like your Metallica sort of down picking speed, unlike nobody else I know. to where you'd written songs that were down picked so quick that the other guitarist said, and I remember him saying to you, dude, I can't play like that, so I can't play the songs. Which is the crack.
That's funny that you say that. Because I remember that. Because there was something I can't remember with the bits and bobs and riff, but he used to do a lot of alternate picking.
That's right, yeah.
And he used to wind me up because it's like, it doesn't sound as neat. It's like, you have to play it like this. And he was like, no, I can't do that. I was like, oh man.
Can you give us an example of your, if you get warmed up, a bit of your down picking speed? Because it is ludicrous.
I don't even know something that's down picked that fast anymore.
Have you got an old Rebirth riff you could resurrect if you can remember back that far?
I don't know. The only other thing that I could think is fast down picker stuff, like Creep and Death and stuff, but I don't think it's going to be that fast anymore.
Yeah, that's fast.
Yeah.
I'll settle that discussion now. That's fast.
It's been a while.
But yeah. So after Rebirth, you did a Brew Crew, which is your typical sort of. It was more of a heavy, because one of the great things about Ipswich is it was one of the few places that you could actually play decent heavy rock, like all your 80s stuff, and it would go down really well because it had a really good, I suppose, sort of like Nottingham, wasn't it, in a way?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
really popular
for a lot more heavy stuff.
Yeah. So with Brew Crew, Creeping Death at live speed. Anthony's just said. But,
yeah, absolutely.
So with Brew Crew, were you playing the kind of stuff you wanted to play, or did you find that it was sort of a bit, you still weren't quite going for what you really enjoyed?
Some of it was, some of it wasn't. But I mean, it's like anything when you do some, various cover bands, different things. Not every song you'll enjoy playing, but you still try and do it to the best of your ability to make it sound as authentic as possible. But we played such an eclectic mix of material, right from some of the guys had interesting ideas. We would play songs that were already cover songs but were made into different versions by other bands, so they spliced them up, and they used to go down really well, and the crowd would really get into that, and we used to fill the house up and then some every weekend that we played, because I think the material that we did was so different, as well as your normal rock ones that you tend to hear, that drive you insane. We did a lot of the other stuff and a lot of other heavier material when there wasn't really anyone else out there doing that. So yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that. There was other things, but then some of the other material kind of you get to explore your playing a little bit more. So whether it's through other lead styles or various chord progressions, time signatures, whatever it is, it's just a plethora of different things you get to play with.
So from there, at what point was your love of Whitesnake born? Because I know, like me, you are a big old Whitesnake fan.
Yeah.
So you said Metallica was your kind of turning point of, oh, wow, what is this? Kind of the magic spark moment. So where does Whitesnake fit in?
When we started...
I will ask Ashley in 1 second. So carry on. Someone's just asked a question, which I shall ask you in a moment.
Yeah. When I first got an electric guitar, started learning things, I wanted to expand, you find out different bands. So what we used to do is we got into vinyl as well, like you do. We thought, rather than going out buying CDs at the time, let's go out and let's be old school and to the local vinyl shop and buy some vinyls and some cassettes. So we'd go down and go buy whatever heavy metal cassettes and different things that we could find that were 80s, we just pick them up and play them because we'd drive around our garden in our cars. That's another story for another day.
Oh no, I think that's a story for today, definitely.
And listen to cassettes in the car. And I think there's my brother that had that actually. I would always buy like Metallica, Megadeth, whoever else. My brother had Poison, Skid Row, and Whitesnake. And we were driving around in his car, and I also heard all the Skid stuff. And he stuck this Whitesnake one in there, and I was like, "Wow, what is this?" And that was it. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Can you remember what the first Whitesnake songs you heard were?
I want to say, I can't remember the track order, but it was "Crying in the Rain," Bad Boys, Children of the Night, Don't Break My Heart Again. I don't know. Basically, that whole album.
It's like "Crying in the Rain" as a starter. You're not really going to get any better than that, are you?
No. That's just that whole thing. And I think the thing is, what did it for me, because it was probably in and around when I talk about the John Sykes stuff. I was like, I need to see some stuff, what's going on in this band, who's in this band. And this guy was like, had the black Les Paul and everything like that. I was like, right, he looks like a bit of a dude.
Yeah.
And I started listening to that, and I was like, wow, that's it. I don't know what's going on, but I need to get involved in this because it's just
I've got some funny feelings in my loins going on, and I like it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Matthew Speed says, he's had you. Well,
okay. That's supposed to be a secret, but okay.
That's all right. We had more women tuning in than usual. I can't imagine why. So, hello, Celeste. Okay. Hello, Dion. We're going to come back to your story because you growing up, to say you have some mischievous times is not even reaching the bar. It's kind of way plummeted down. But Ashley Bell has asked, you showed us your guitars. What amps and effects are you using? What do you generally go for? What's your sort of live rig?
Do you know what? My live rig, and I've probably taken this from the artist that I love, is as simple as possible. I've never been one for tons of effects, for, pedal boards, for, that lot of the newer equipment that we, like the Axe FX stuff, the Kemper, whatever it is, they're all incredible pieces of equipment. I've always been, without being cliche, Marshall Les Paul, but now I've got a Mesa Boogie dual rec, so I'm just guitar, amp, cab, chorus, wah. Yeah, that's it. A tuning pedal, obviously.
Yeah,
but that is it. So there's nothing else going on. A lot of the material that we do doesn't really call for anything else unless you add and work on that in the studio. But other than that, the simple the better, because I know it's a one for a serious debate, but everything you get from tone and from soul is not in equipment; it's in your hands.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it. But that's what I rock: guitar, amp. Mesa Boogie I've got at the moment. I've had goodness knows what of different amps over the years, but that's it. My Marshall cab 4x12's got vintage 30s in it, just to warm up and soften the sound. But that's pretty much it.
Your sound has always sounded, ever since I've known you, it's always had that real screams, that 80s, sort of really nice, crunchy distortion, chorusy. It just sounds that it would just come straight off of Ozzy Whitesnake albums. It screams that era. Always has.
Yeah.
It's such a lovely sound.
Yeah, it's hard to try not to overkill that sometimes as well, I think, because it's, yourself, you start tweaking up a little bit of chorus and you jack up a little bit of something else here and there, then that can be a bit too much and a bit obvious. But as long as it's nice and subtle, the chorus just fills that sound up. It's just nice. It's not too much. It's not overpowering. It's just there to fill up the sound. I think that's probably from being in a lot of guitars with, one guitarist as well. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. So, because for those of you who don't know, you have a brother. Who's the tallest? You're slightly taller than him, aren't you?
Yeah, a good couple of 3 inches. Yeah,
and they do matter. So what height are you? You're 6 foot.
6'6".
You're 6'6". So Brad's 6'3".
Yeah.
Oh, bless his little.
My wife keeps saying she thinks I'm like 6'7", but I think I'm 6'6".
Just when you got your heels on, when your hair's big.
Exactly.
First thing in the morning.
When I'm all back home.
Oh yeah. So, and the two of you together, are sort of a mischievous force to be reckoned with. Like, you have your own language that you speak in, which I've...
Well, that's more my brother does, yeah.
Yeah. Your brother talks in more kind of clicks and grunts and percussive noises, doesn't he, than actual words.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this is
his own language.
It's a sort of a general Suffolk thing. For those of you who aren't acquainted with kind of the Suffolk, like Aaron's got, you are Suffolk, but you're not as broad as your typical.
No.
Right, that's your
no.
Or you got your brother who will speak to sort of like fucking ooh, get about. He's like he's sort of his own gurning competition, just with big hair.
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
But the two of you growing up together, Brad says he's 6'3.5".
Oh, well, there you go.
Half, yeah. Every man's got to get your half-inch extra in.
It all counts.
It does. But you two growing up together, I've heard some of the stories, and it sort of put Jackass to shame, really. So you mentioned about driving around your garden in a car. Now, most people might go around the garden on a push bike or perhaps like a little dirt bike if you've got enough space. But a full-grown car, how did that come about?
Well, we were quite lucky because we, I say lucky, some might say, we had the house we lived in had quite a large garden, and me, my brother, and my two stepbrothers, so four brothers really, we all had cars. And we had the luxury of enough space for them in the garden. So during the summertime, when we were cruising around listening to our cassettes of various heavy metal and rock bands, we liked to go around and shoot things. So my car had a sunroof, so we would just cruise around in the garden in the summer, blasting out some Rust in Peace with a gun, standing out the sunroof, just shooting things.
Pretty much a general kind of, Suffolk evening, afternoon, isn't it, really?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, there's a few other things that sort of went on, but yeah, lots of fun.
Right, one more story I know of you that I'd like you to elaborate on. What was the whole thing with your brother, a sewer pipe, and fire? This is an impressive one, ladies and gents. Please, disclaimer, do not try this at home.
Yeah, don't try this at home. So before the property got built on, they made sure the sewer lines were all in place, all this kind of stuff. I don't know the technical terms for that. And there were two like drains that would go down into the sewer at different points in our garden, because our garden was at a slight gradient that went downhill. So we thought it was a good idea to see if we could get inside there, have a look around in the sewer, you know, take the manhole off. Can we get down there? Yeah, we can. Oh, this is brilliant. Let's get down there and see what's down. So we whipped the manhole covers off. One was probably about 200 metres further down the garden. I said to me stepbrother, I said, why don't you get down there, get down on a skateboard, and we'll take a piece of rope and we'll pull you along. You'll be all right. We'll pull you down one end to the other. That'll be brilliant. And he's like, yeah, right, yeah, okay. So he gets down there, and I said, oh, don't worry. I said, what we'll do is we'll make it look really interesting. I'll pour some petrol down, and then we'll set fire to it, so it's like it's following you down there, down the sewer. And he was like, yeah. So he goes in, down the sewer pipe, a bit of rope that's already been fed through, goes down on a skateboard, laying down on his skateboard like this. He's like, right, go. He starts pulling the rope, and I start emptying this jerry can of petrol down there behind him. And I was like, are you ready? He's like, yeah. Chuck this match in, and it just goes, and starts going down the sewer pipe after him. But he got out, everything was fine. He got out in time. So these things happen.
Oh, let he who hath not played with petrol as a child cast the first stone.
Well, yeah, there you go. So that was just one standard Saturday afternoon.
Was this the garden I jumped out of the tree in where we were all jumping through the fire, or was that a different house?
No, that's the one.
That is the house. Yeah, that was a big garden. That was a great garden.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the reasons we've been talking quite a lot about doing too much guitar is you have a wee bairn, do you not?
Oh yeah, little Bambina.
Little Bambina.
She's asleep.
Is she asleep now? So are you able to play guitar without... This is one of the joys of getting older, everybody. You think it's all rock and roll. Then the baby comes along and everyone's having to play quietly for a tiny little amp in their living room.
Yeah.
So
I can't quite give you some stack volume at the moment.
That's fine. We'll make do with what we can. So I'd like to see some of Aaron's favourite licks. Every guitarist, every musician has those kind of little... those little licks, those little shreddy parts that makes their playing their own. And I know you have got like a ridiculous Zakk Wylde vibrato. It's like you could almost like just bend the string off the actual neck. How much you vibrate? Yeah, that's the one. But we're like the one thing I've never been able to get the hang of is like the low Zakk harmonics. You know, the on the sort of the low E string.
To be honest, this. Yeah, go on.
Annika says she's asleep now, so we're all good to go.
All right, okay.
Cheers, darling.
You can obviously game plays quite a large part of that, so I'll give it a whirl. But I'm rocking a tiny little Line 6 combo, so I'll do my best.
Size and everything.
This guitar in particular, again, to come back to it, it's still got the original pups in it, and they're quite low output.
Okay.
So when I'm playing, obviously, if you add EMGs, that's fine. You just be screaming. So we should be able to get them. But can you hear it?
Yep, they're definitely there.
If you can hear that.
Oh yeah, yes you can. Yeah. Sounds awesome.
I know it sounds strange, but that's a lot easier to do with Zakk's stuff when it's drop tuned.
Okay.
Because I mean, this is in E. So if you're I don't know what the hell you're playing in D or drop D, whatever it is, you've got there's just greater pliability in the string, and it's so much easier to get harmonics. So when you hear Zakk doing his stuff, they sound huge and wide. It's because there's more pliability in the string, so he gets the harmonic, and it just turns into a huge vibrato. So it sounds really impressive. Don't get me wrong, it's insane anyway, but that definitely does help.
So what are your... Gordon has asked, which Marshall amps do you use?
I haven't got one at the moment, but I did have... Is it the JVM...
Oh, was you the one the same as Matt Speed had for a while? You had one of those, didn't you? That was a beautiful amp.
What is that called? Is it 410H or JVM 100?
Matthew, what is the JVM that you had that Aaron had as well? Please, if you're still watching...
Yeah, it's the 100-watt one, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I had that for... I can't remember. 410H, I want to say it's called, something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, I had that one for a long time.
So
I've never owned like a rod.
So what are you using now? You're using a dual... Is it a triple rec or a dual rec?
I've got a dual rec at the moment. Yeah. I used to have the old PV5150, but I did have a Mark 1 for a little while. Then I had a Mark 2 for those guitar guys that know about them, and they sound absolutely amazing for how much they even cost. Even now, they're ridiculously good amps. But yeah, I've never had like a JCM 800 or anything like that. I've always wanted one, like a rodded version, but just never got around to getting one, to be fair.
Right, so I want to hear some of Aaron's favourite riffs. Could be from any band, just those riffs that make you... Everyone's got riffs that makes them smile when they play them.
Riffs?
Yeah, come on, riffs, lead parts. It's probably going to be all pretty much Whitesnake.
I'm going to have to try and think of some now. Do you know what? When you put on the spot to think of a riff, it's actually really hard. I love that riff. That's always my sound check riff.
Who is that?
I don't know if you know that. Metal Gods, Judas Priest.
Ah, yes. Yes.
So, but it's just a riff. Do you know what I mean? It's just. Let me try. Sorry, I'm just like twanging the hell out of it, really beating this up, but there you go.
By the way,
it's hard to think of.
Annika says she likes how Munch is hanging out in the log from behind having a watch.
Yeah, he's checking me out. You can see him there.
That's little Munch, everybody. Feel free to say hi. Hi, Munch.
The little beast.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what are the Whitesnake songs? Because what's the one that's boom? Is that Bad Boys?
Oh, hold on. No.
That's close enough.
Oh, I can't remember. Something like that, isn't it?
Your alternative picking speed as well is ludicrous. Just when you're going like
I'll slow it down a bit.
That wasn't a criticism, by the way. I was just saying I was impressed.
No. Yeah. I don't know.
So what about your
yeah.
what about your sort of favourite John Sykes stuff?
Well, that really.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Aussie stuff's difficult, isn't it? Really, because there's so much of it. And the thing is for riff stuff from that, they're not that technical. It's just the sound of them. Do you know what I mean? It's something like as simple as just like I can't even remember off the top of my head. You know, like Desire off No More Tears and stuff like that. The really simple stuff. So it's not like overly technical. It's really easy. Like I know it's not Desire, but obviously the Bark at the Moon riff and stuff like that. Jake E. Lee, which everyone loves anyway. Or whatever, you know. Just love all of that kind of stuff.
What about lead time? What's favourite Aussie solo? We are happy to go with whatever one you can remember, by the way, as well. We can pretend it's your favourite if you can remember it.
I can't remember to play any. It's too much silence here, isn't it?
No, it's very hard when you're put on the spot.
Miracle Man. Absolutely love that one.
Yeah.
Mr. Crowley.
Can you play any of that? Was it been too long?
Been a while.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could, but I can't remember it. Yeah, something like that, I'd say. Yeah, I love all them.
All right, show us some of your favourite lead licks. Because I know you've
got go-to licks.
Yes.
If you can hear or see,
yeah.
A lot of the stuff that I go to is quite Zach Wildy, quite Sykesy. He's loving his Pepsi Maxes.
Carrie's annoyed because I took the last cold one out of the fridge in a hurry and forgot to put a new one in.
Bad times. Yeah. You're in trouble, mate. It's just like 3-note stuff. So doing it slow, it's just going up. You know, it's all pentatonic, chromatic, but it's just easy go-to stuff. It's easy to practice. And the other stuff I've started added in was where I got this from watching Paul Gilbert VHSs.
Oh yeah.
And most of those are ridiculous and they just make you annoyed.
Yeah.
But there's a particular lick that he started doing that was repetitive, so you can change it and put it up. But it's just going back and up and down. And just doing that as fast as you can, because you can move that around everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't know if you can hear that, sorry. A little thing at the end. But it's little licks like that, or what other ones do I do? A lot of the standard stuff, you know what I mean?
It's just that vibrato at the end is just great.
I just can't help it. Just how it ends all the time. You don't get the greatest gain out of this, but everything has to end with either an overbend or a wide vibrato.
Oh, nice.
It's just how it has to go.
Gordon says apparently Miracle Man is his favourite solo as well.
Who's that?
Gordon. Mr. Parrish.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Bolton, fan supreme.
Oh, there we go. That's the rules. But yeah, a lot of it is, other than linear bits, is just going back and forwards. I go to that hell of a lot because you can move it around everywhere or move it up the neck or whatever you do. You know, it's easy stuff, but it's just easy to get up and down.
That's just so fast. It's what I call there's certain guitarists who can do that, what I call like the bubbling sound when they play lead. Like if you don't get it right, it can just sound so scrappy and shit. But when you get it right and you get that, it just sounds brilliant. It does sound like a very, very bubbling stream at loud volume with distortion.
The thing is that I think that's why I've always left this stock, because these pickups aren't high output. If you're not accurate, it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
So it kind of forces you to, and you can probably hear it louder than my amp how hard I pick.
Yeah.
But it's just a case of practicing.
I can feel it from here.
Yeah. It comes from practicing quiet and doing things that way, because if you know whether you do, you obviously don't quite go that insane on an acoustic, but anything like that is, yeah, because even like small other string skip and stuff I go to. Don't know if you can hear that or not, but it's
yeah, just about.
Or whatever. It's a small lick, but that kind of stuff you can do it up entire scales, moving around the neck. As long as you get the lick down well, you can move it. It's really versatile, but it's kind of go-to stuff like that. Other than your standard unison bends and your double stops and whatever the hell else you want to use. I've never been a massive sweeper or anything that's 3 or 4 string sweep. Yeah, that's fine, but that's never really been a style or an ilk for me personally. But
yeah, because you're not sort of a Vi style, are you? You're more of a
not so much.
No, sort of like a speed classic, sort of classic rock, I would say, more than.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're more of a of a Zakk Wylde than a Vi.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Right, so very important question coming up now. Knowing your love of Mr. Bolton and your love of Mr. Coverdale of Whitesnake, if you were to receive a phone call offering you a touring job with either, but you could only choose one, who would it be? I know.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Is this at the height of their career, or will it be now?
I would say, yeah, right. There might be some stipulations here,
because my answer might change.
Because I know your favourite era of Whitesnake is sort of slip of the tongue era, isn't it? Or is that your favourite kind of era?
Yeah, late 80s to early 90s, yeah.
I'm trying to make this really difficult for you.
It's tough, isn't it? Because my answer would change.
Okay, what is your favourite point? Is sort of Soul Provider, sort of How Can We Be Lovers? That's your Michael Bolton era.
Denim on Denim is my era.
Okay, so what sort of era is that? Is that about 80? Are we mid 80s there? Are we late 80s? Where are we about for that?
Yeah, it's going to be around that. So
that era is around Whitesnake album, Slip of the Tongues, late 80s. So I think we're that era. So we're late 80s. So they're both pretty much at their peak. So
it's an incredible amount of pressure. I'd have to go Snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see it's a hard one to agree on, isn't it?
I'd have to go Snake because I would be busier.
That's true. And I suppose also you're actually part of with Michael Bolton, you'll just be a guitarist. While with Whitesnake, you have more of a presence as a musician, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Tree difficile, but I'd have to go with the Snake on that one.
Gordon says, I've heard Michael Bolton is a really nice chap. I can believe that.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he says he's heard the opposite of Coverdale, if that helps.
Well,
who knows? Yeah,
who knows?
Never met them. I do like watching David Coverdale being interviewed, though. He's absolutely hilarious.
Have you seen him on Loose Women?
No. I saw Michael Bolton on Loose Women,
Did you? I've not seen that one.
Yeah, he kind of, they started talking about menopause, and he kind of wasn't quite sure what to make of it all.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which is odd, considering that Michael Bolton's fan base mainly consists of menopausal ladies. So I would have thought that was kind of his demographic.
They are now, yeah.
But no, David covered out on Loose Women. Oh, yes. Yes. I'm going to have to rewatch that now. But yeah, I do believe it was quite funny. Am I correct in thinking that?
Yeah, 100%.
Excellent. I'll have to rewatch that. But well, is there anything else? So we're sort of cracking on. We've got a few minutes left. So is there anything else you'd like to discuss, talk about, tell us about yourself? Oh, what have you got coming? What have you got coming up after all this viral silliness is over? What are your future plans? Oh, you haven't talked about your the band that you are currently in, your Originals band, who are sort of you're just lacking a singer at the moment, I hear.
Yeah, einen Minuten. That might have shed some light on things, darling.
That's all right. It was all kind of moody. Yeah, I'm loving the flowers behind you. It really sets the scene.
Yeah, I thought a floral scene. So the original band I'm in is called Mayday Miracle, which is kind of a heavy, rocky sounding band with a little bit of a southern edge with Zaki Pantera kind of tones. The singer decided not to do it anymore, which was fair enough, but we've been around for 2 or 3 years now. We're about to finish a studio album had this not happen. So hopefully, maybe by the end of the year, we can get that done, to get that out there to people to potentially audition for a singer. But other than that, there's some other potential works in the pipeline. There's another one with some friends that are covering just old rock stuff, again, just for fun. Just, small, not going out there doing like tons of gigs. It's purely just a fun thing. But other than that, we'll kind of see what happens. Personally, I've spent a lot more time recently playing my acoustic and listening to the musical stylings of John Mayer.
Really?
So I'm trying to work on my pipes.
Do I need to wear a neckerchief of some description if we're going to talk about this kind of thing?
There you go. That's better.
Yep.
So yeah, I've been working on that and seeing what vocals I can offer up and singing and playing a lot of stuff by myself.
Oh, excellent.
Like you do. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm trying to be more musically active. But obviously that's been on hiatus since the birth of my beautiful girl. So the volumes have had to go down just a touch since she's been around. So otherwise she'll get hostile.
Come in, tear the place apart.
Yeah, pretty much. But once this is all gone, we'll see what happens by the end of the year because I need to be making some noise because I miss it too much. So, yeah.
Because when we had my anniversary gig, you guys sort of were one of the bands that really stood out because everyone else was sort of doing, we'd say, sort of fairly middle of the road stuff, and you guys came in and did a lot of your kind of 80s, Poison, Kiss, and all that kind of stuff. There was you, there was Brad, your brother, there was Rob Lucas, who both of us have dallied about with in various bands. The thing is, with the whole Ipswich crowd, we've all been in everybody's bands at some point, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've all done the rounds.
That's right.
And Mr. Bock Bowden on drums. So are you guys looking to do anything with that, or was that just a one-off get-together, have a giggle kind of thing?
No, we will do. I met up with Rob and Bocker and another chap who's going to be playing guitar as well, called Chillo. So, obviously my brother. So that's what I said. We're going to be doing some random bits and bobs, possibly for some friends' functions and random things. So we'll just see how things land, how they turn out. If we end up getting a good enough set, we might go out for a couple of gigs and stuff, just for play, in and around places that we know and people that we know, just because people will know what we're about, and we'll just be able to go on some old names and just to have fun with them more than anything else. It's not anything too taxing. So. And it's just about having a good time. So
I have heard a rumour, a little whispering through the grapevine. By that I mean you told me before we started doing this, without trying to sound like I've got musical connections or anything. You are thinking of forming a Whitesnake tribute.
Yeah, that is something that's on the cards.
Yes,
with some certain established musicians and friends of mine. So we're just going to have to watch this space at the moment. So for any fans of the musical stylings of David Coverdale and friends over the various years, we'll see what happens, because we'd like to bring that musical joy to everybody.
That's been a sort of on the cards for you for a long time, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. Well, I've always wanted to do it for a long, long, long time, but it's difficult, not only finding the musicians, but finding someone that can sing that stuff half decent, because, you know, it's pretty incredible. But
do you find
heyday, and it's trying to get someone to do that.
Do you find that with a lot of the band, sort of the tribute bands from the 80s? Sort of the thing that can really make or break a tribute band is the singer. I mean, I know one of the ones. There's a few, like there's a couple of Rainbow ones where to be able to get that kind of range is a real hard task to try and get a singer who can achieve all that.
It is, because a lot of that era was about, other than just big hair, it was about insane voices and outrageous guitar work.
I remember David Coverdale referred to it as like the vocal Olympics, wasn't it? And
literally,
which sadly cost a lot of the singers from the 80s their voices, because going out touring stuff that sounded amazing in the studio, but you go and try and do that night after night for 2 hours while taking copious amounts of drugs and not getting any sleep. It's a recipe for disaster.
A lot of electronic intervention, should we say, with keeping some of those alive these days, sadly, but that's for another day.
There's a few rumours of, well, not just rumours, of various people using backing tracks, isn't there, for various vocals.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I saw Snake was Download, I would say 4 to 6 years ago. And there were times and I was like, oh man, yes, it's almost like you love it so much and you listen to the record so much and you have the immediate comparison, and almost like, oh, I feel a bit sad about it. Because I remember, out of all people, going to the races at Newmarket, and that night Meatloaf was singing. And I've never heard anything like it in my life. I wanted someone to make it stop.
Yeah.
Just, you know, like I don't know if he's all right now. I don't know what's going on, but it needs to stop.
No, I think I think he had like a couple of severe sort of mental breakdowns. I know, and he had, you know, so many problems. Like he went bankrupt several times and sort of had to relaunch himself. And I don't know whether his health doesn't sound very good. The really sad one, because I know the one you're referring to, where the singing was just he did like a halftime Super Bowl thing, didn't he? And it was so bad. And then there was the time he actually collapsed on stage, and you heard his vocals carry on over the top. So he was obviously singing. Do you think there comes a point, and I used to think this, where if an artist can't sing anymore, that they should just jack it in? I used to think that. But then a good friend of mine said that you've got to remember, this artist is not just a person. They've got all their crew that depend on them for a living. They've got the whole enterprise that is that band. Yeah. So they're also keeping it going for those people to still be employed. Yeah. So
it would be that easy if they were just them, but that person is effectively a commercial enterprise.
Yeah.
So they haven't effectively just, I'll tell you what, I can't now. I'm knackered. Sorry to the few hundred people that work for me and the tens of thousands of merchandise and everyone else that takes jobs off the back of it. You know, it's not quite that easy, is it? You know.
No.
Hence why, you know, it's still going on.
Yeah. And the tunings are getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower.
Yeah, like drop B. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about Coverdale was that, which was odd, because like since the 90s, I remember it was when, during the Slip of the Tongue tour, you know, when they headlined Donington. Yeah. And there's that live album where he blows his voice out. I think about 3 or 4. I think it was it's
really early.
Yeah, like Slide It In or Judgment Day or something like that. And you can hear he's just ripping his voice apart.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah. But then a lot later on, there's a a moment of him getting up and just singing "Rock and Roll" by Led Zeppelin with Sammy Hagar. There's just a clip of it, and Coverdale does it brilliantly. Yeah. So I don't know whether it's just a longevity thing he has during gigs. It takes his toll, but it sounded like he, obviously there was no backing track. This was just an improv thing. He got up with Hagar, sang, they, sang off against each other, and he sounded brilliant.
Yeah.
So he's obviously, he still has a range, but maybe it's just he hasn't, the voice just can't handle it for, long shows and that kind of thing.
I think this, at the end of the day, this nature, I think there's only so much, when you look to your other guys, like your Bruce Dickinsons and everyone else, don't get me wrong, there's absolutely different gear, but they're in their 60s now. Who knows if he's going to be able to sing like that when he's in his 70s? I mean, I don't know, but who knows, mate?
Right, before we wrap this up then, we have got a few questions. So, and also a few little statements. Lauren, who is Gordon's other half, said she loves singing Whitesnake, but no one wants a female.
Right. Okay.
Oh, well, we never know. It could be the first time. The first time for everything.
Yeah. That's true.
Actually, there's a few bands who do have the female equivalents, like Toto, when their original singer left. They had to get in a female to do all his parts because, they struggled to get men to sing it. So it does happen. Bad Ant said, much like Phil Anselmo and Pantera, shot his high voice in the early 90s. Well, not surprised with the amount of stuff that was going on in his body at the time. Gordon was in a Whitesnake tribute band. He said, we did Wings of a Storm, which was an absolute arsehole. I can believe it.
Brilliant.
Sian Wythe says, Daniel Wythe wants to know if you can play God's Plan. I don't know what that is.
That's more of a private one, but I'm sure I'll keep. I'm still trying to sort out the studio for me and him to go in and record that, so that's fine.
Okay, because Annika's just put no.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Right, so darling, I just want to say thank you very much for joining me. It's been a bloody pleasure as always.
Yes, indeed.
So before we go though, just two quick questions: A, how do you keep your hair so great? And B, what is the cologne that you wear? Because I know that you always smell gorgeous.
My hair is trying to blow dry it as little as possible. Let it naturally dry after conditioning, etc.
Of course. Do you stand out on the veranda? Do you dress as Thor, stand out on the veranda and just let it blow in the breeze?
Pretty much.
Excellent.
I just go down the bottom of my garden, run to the railway track, and then let the train come past and blow dry my hair. And my cologne is, I think it's called Diesel Only the Brave, or Tattoo. It's a Diesel one that's a black fist.
I've got that.
For those of you aficionados. Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah, it doesn't smell as nice on me, but I think that's probably because I'm just generally stinky. So
I'm sure it does.
You wear it just to add like the extra sexual essence. Mine's just to cover up bad smells.